Welcome to the Maverick Paradox podcast, where we explore what it is to be a maverick and discover effective modes of leadership. I am Judith Germain, and my mission is to propel the maverick mindset into a world where character and integrity will ultimately have a higher premium than personality and bureaucracy. So thank you for joining me on this journey. If you'd like to continue with me, then please subscribe to my podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or one of the other popular podcast platforms. And today, our guest is Mark Shaw. Hi, Mark.
Hi, Judith. Thank you for having me on your show.
It's a pleasure. Mark, tell me about you.
I am 52 years old. I'm middle-aged. I'm very opinionated. I live in the UK in North London. And I like to just tell people how it is. Some people quite like that. Some people don't like that. But I feel I've been around the block a bit and I've very experienced in all sorts of things. And I just like to help people as much as I can by often just telling them what they don't want to hear. So I'm not always Mr. Popular.
That sounds very maverick-y. Because all the mavericks, the willfully independent people, are like that. Would you class yourself as a maverick?
Well, I've never used that word about myself, but clearly I think some of the things that I do are, if everyone's turning left, I normally go right. Everyone's putting their hand up, I'm putting my hand down. And I just feel, if I had sort of one mission in life, it's just to sort of slap people around the face a bit and just say, you need to wake up a little bit. It's not all roses. And I sometimes feel that people don't want to hear that, because they all like that woolly, fuzzy, everything's great, everything's going to be Carlos Fandango and whatever. And it's not. And that doesn't mean you need to give up. It doesn't mean you shouldn't try. It doesn't mean you shouldn't give it your best. But it just means you need to go into things with a little bit more of an open eye on things, a little bit more of an opening to what it's really about. And I just seem to be that guy to tell people. Some people like it, and some people don't, and that's cool either way.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because that's the thing that Maverick's about. It's about brutal honesty, isn't it? And I was smiling when you said that you just want to slap people across the face and say, wake up. Yeah, that amused me in that. And I'm assuming you mean metaphorically.
Oh, of course, yeah. No one's suggesting violence on anybody, but you just see so many people who I would describe, they're living in Disneyland. They're living in a fantasy world. I'm talking about business. Outside of business, things are very different. The affairs of the heart are very different to sort of business type things. But you see them and they have the best of intentions and they really want to do well and they want to try and they're working 23 and a half hours a day. But I've been there. I've had tons of failures, a couple of successes. I've been round the block a bit, and I just want to explain to them, or as many people as I can, is, not everything is as it looks. Unfortunately, social media plays a big part in that because it's the greatest smoke and mirrors, platform ever invented. Everyone is the world's greatest, whatever that is. They are the most award-winning person ever. They've all got the greatest businesses ever, and yet the vast majority of them are skint, working in their back bedrooms, living at home with their mum and dad. Now, I've got nothing wrong with living at home with your mum and dad. I lived at home with my mum and dad, as we all have to, and there's nothing wrong with working from home. But it's the perception that people think everything is great. All I need to do is show up, a post here, a video there, the business rolls in, and I'm going to be absolutely caning in the money. It just isn't like that. And that's the message I really want to get across to people.
Yeah, that's what's fascinating because I remember you from way back, Mark, and you was into social media before everybody else is. So when everybody else was saying social media was rubbish, you were like, no, you need to get there. And now you're the anti-social media person. So why is that? What's the change?
Well, okay, so yeah, for the last 10 years, probably for the last 8 years, I was so obsessed with social media, it's unbelievable, particularly Twitter. That was my thing. Through a set of circumstances, I got in on it very early. I talked a lot about why it was good for business. I wasn't interested in why people wanted to follow Lady Gaga or Justin Bieber. And that got me a lot of attention. And suddenly, I've done over 200 interviews on the radio, leading authority on Twitter, and it got me a ton of business, ton of speaking, and was fantastic. 2 or 3 years ago, I realized that, you know what? No one's phoning me anymore. No one's calling me. Nothing's happening. Why is that? And I suspect a set of circumstances where people were perhaps bored with my message, stale message. Everyone and their auntie's a social media expert. And to a certain extent, people's consumption of social media had changed. When I was around, and it's only, it sounds like 400 years ago, it was only 8 years ago. But when I was around, perhaps I was the only cinema in town when there was 2 screens and I was one of them. 8 years on, there were 10,000 cinemas with 50 screens in each, and people had just moved on, and people were more interested or just had to use their time differently because suddenly Kim Kardashian is, skiing naked down the Everest. What chance have we got? We've got no chance. And so about 2 years ago, I started to think, you know what, I need to start talking about why social has its place, but it's just one channel. It's not the be all and end all. It's not the only channel. You don't have to be on social. There are many businesses I don't think should be on social, but people got obsessed by it as the only channel. And so 2 or 3 years ago, I started to think, what can I call myself? I don't want to be the Twitter guy anymore. I'll start calling myself the anti-social guy. And then I forgot all about it. I've been on holiday a lot. I've been traveling a lot. I just forgot. And then about 2 weeks ago, I got back from holiday and I thought, I'm not old enough to retire. I think I've still got some life in the old dog yet. I want to start doing some stuff. So I rejoined LinkedIn and I've just started putting out some videos. I launched my podcast, all about being anti-social. That doesn't mean swearing and being horrid to people. It just means that it's not about being social. It's not about just that. In fact, I actually believe that social media has made people incredibly anti-social. How funny is that?
I think the difference is that being social, when you talk about social media, has become somewhere where people can be very shallow. So they're like, they join a group. Hi, I'm Mark by myself. That's nothing. That's not like social is a way of connecting, so you can have off platform conversations, which you just keep up on platform. If you see what I mean, it's a way of demonstrating expertise, or a way of building reputation, or a way of finding out what that person's like in another arena. But it has to have meaning when you're doing it. Does that make sense?
Well, exactly. And that's the bit that's missing because you can't automate it. You see?
No, you can't.
And that's the point. People, everyone wants to have a presence without being present. And they just want to automate what they do so that they can be on every single platform, their heart's desire, but not be there. Well, that's not social media. Automation is not social media. And you're right. But you've only got to look at what people do now, their actions. Liking something is not social media. Right? Sending you an emoji of, a birthday cake on your birthday is not social. You just look at the people in the street. They're all on their phones. Look at people in restaurants. They're all taking photos of their dinner. They're not talking to anyone. So it's moved people into this laziness. And in particular with business, people have become incredibly lazy because they've stopped doing the tried and trusted marketing things that have stood the test of time because this social media thing turned up. And that gives them the other bit doesn't give them. That gives them the warm and fuzzy feeling because you get a likey and you go, oh, I've had a couple of likes on this photo of a puppy. And you get all excited and you come back and I've had a couple of comments on my photo of a croissant. And so you go home with this feeling you're doing something, but in reality, someone needs to hit you on the head and say, okay, how many leads have you had today? How many people have visited your website? What I call the sanity metrics, not the vanity metrics, which are how many likes did you get? How many shares have you had? How many followers have you got? Which are all meaningless. None of them will pay your bills. And so people have been lulled into this. Everything's moving forward because I'm on social. I can't keep coming up with content because, let's be honest, it's battle of the eyeballs and we're all going to lose because we're not big brands, big celebrities. They've basically killed social and we're fighting over the scraps that are left in terms of attention. That's the point. And so many businesses, I think it's been the kiss of death for them because they've stopped. When did you last get a phone call? No one rings me anymore. I said to someone a few weeks ago, if you needed to get hold of someone, what would you do? And they went, oh, I'd see if they're on LinkedIn, send them an email. I'd see if they're on Messenger. I said, what about phoning? And they just looked at me like, what? You don't phone anyone anymore. My phone never rings. People don't go face to face anymore. They don't want to meet people. And that's where exactly what you said, Judith. That's the social bit that's gone missing. So the social media bit is the virtual handshake. That's the start of the something. But what is a connection? It's a nothing. What's a follower? It's a nothing until you build on it. And then you have the banter and you engage with their stuff and they engage with your stuff. And in time, there may be something to talk about. There may be an opportunity. But no one wants to do that bit. They just want that, hello, we've connected by my book, by my course, check out my webinar. No one goes from stranger to sale in one post, one tweet, one video, one anything. That's the bit that's gone wrong.
You know what I think? When you was talking, I think that the essential message has been lost. Now, because I remember what you used to talk about, 8 years ago, and I used to do network strategy training, and and we talk about social media in a way of proper connecting and doing that kind of stuff. And I think what's happened is that people have come along and gone, oh, and they've only just picked up the message of the first line, connecting, but they've missed the message about talking and, trusting and all that kind of stuff. It's ironic because I've been talking to somebody on LinkedIn for quite some time, and it got to that point where I just said, do you want to have a telephone conversation? And it was like, yeah. And we had a really long conversation, properly connected. We're going to be doing work together, a true collaboration. And it was a lot easier because the connections that once we'd made that initial connection on LinkedIn, we started having conversations.
Well, exactly. Offline, and I think that's the point, Judith, is, as I said, all these things are the beginning. Everyone wants to fast track. Everyone doesn't want to do the hard bit, and it is the hard bit that you've got to put some time in, some effort in, some energy. But also, it goes back to many other things. Most people now seem to operate in the sea of sameness. Everything about them is the same. Their bios read the same. Nothing stands out. Everyone's very forgettable, not memorable. I can literally count on my hand, and maybe your listeners want to do this, how many people they are connected to, can they actually remember their bio? Can they actually remember something about them? Right? And literally it's a handful. And those are the people who put something a bit different, a bit quirky, a bit unusual. Because most people are totally forgettable. You meet them at an event, everyone's hello, I'm an accountant, I'm a this, I'm a web host, blah, 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 whatever. And you think you just put them in the same box as everyone else. I don't know if people are scared to be different, if people are nervous to stand out. I don't know quite what it is. So everyone's the same. Everyone talks the same. Everyone writes about the same. Everyone posts the same. There's a very good book by Seth Godin called Purple Cow. And in it, he talks about that if you drove past a field full of cows and you saw one purple cow amongst everyone, that's the one you'd remember. Why? Because it's remarkable, it's different, it's unusual. That's the one you remember. What's happened now is everyone's copied everybody. So now the field is all purple cows. So the one that stands out is the one that's gone back to being the original colour. I think there's a real irony in that. So that's what a lot of what I talk about is go back to basics. When did you last get a handwritten note? Oh my God. When did someone last ring you up and just say, thanks for buying my stuff, but I'm not selling you anything? It's gone. I think people are just dying for that personal interaction, that personal touch, not the generic, automated, emoji-filled nonsense that is the easy option. And when you do that, suddenly I call it the wow moment. Everyone goes, oh my God, I got a handwritten note from a brand. They must be the greatest brand ever. All you did was say hello or smile at them. And that's where the opportunity lies, because the smart people are beginning to recognize that. And that's where so many people can really benefit.
Yeah. And I think that, it's a little bit more than just standing out, because I think a lot of people rush out, go find a marketing specialist and come up with their purple cow, their standout thing. But when you actually meet them and you talk to them, the thing that they've come up with means nothing. It sounds great, but has no real meaning. And I know that when I work if I work with my SME clients, for example, as opposed to corporates, it's like defining what it is that they do in a way that it stands out, but is true. You know what I mean? It's believable, and it gets to the heart of what you're doing, rather than it just sounds nice.
Oh,
I mean, do you know what I mean? I went networking, and this woman, and she had this really great marketing line. It was brilliant. I said, that's amazing. I really get what you do. What does it mean? And she said, I don't know. My marketing guy came up with it. And I just looked at her and I thought, you've just said that in a room full of networking people. Everyone's looking at you, and you've just said you don't know what your business does. I don't get it.
I think exactly the same as you, is that it's easy to come up with buzzwords and bylines and all that. It's got to be congruent. The best for me is when people say they're the number one in the world. They're the bestest of whatever that topic is, okay? And then you ask them how much do they charge, and they charge the cheapest price ever. Well, the two aren't congruent. If you're the best, you should be the most expensive, right? How does that work?
Yeah.
They're like, I'm the greatest, marketing guru ever. What do you charge? £29 an hour. Well, that don't work. So you've got to believe exactly what you're saying about yourself. And most people don't. And most people aren't congruent. They have and that's social media. That's the smoke and mirrors, you see. Everyone is an award-winning number one Forbes listed top whatever. Then when you uncover the onion and start peeling it back, there's no substance. You ask them some very simple questions. Name some clients you've worked with. How much did you improve their business? What's happened? What hasn't? And they're like, oh my God, I can't, there's nothing there. And that's one of the issues with social media as well. It's very easy for people just to reel off all sorts of nonsense, all sorts of things that are just, I'll say, not correctly factual rather than lying, but I think people can get the gist of what I'm getting at. And it's a nonsense. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're right. It's got to be congruent, but it's also got to be memorable. You've got to say something. You have now 1 nanosecond to capture someone's attention. We're so time obsessed now. Just walk down the street, people are scrolling non-stop. They're not looking at the pavement, the billboards, the road, nothing. So you've literally got a second, if you're lucky, to capture someone's attention. So what are you going to say, or what's on your bio, or what have you done that gets me just to look at you for a second? That's the objective. And most people can't even do that. So you can be the greatest at what you do. You can be the world's best. But if you don't know how to market yourself, you're never going to get in front of people. You need to learn, or you need to understand how to market your own product. And that's perhaps the bit people don't understand. They're good at what they do, but they don't know how to market what they do to get in front of the right or anybody.
So would it be fair to say that you're not anti-social, you're just anti-social in the way that the mass market is doing it?
Absolutely.
So if someone was using social media to demonstrate reputation, demonstrate some really innovative new thinking, then you'll be all for that.
Oh, I'm all for it. But one, it gets people to remember what I do, because they go, oh, you're an anti-social bloke. So it's memorable. 2, it starts a conversation. 3, people go, well, you don't like social media. Well, how come you're on LinkedIn then? So that's the first thing they go, well, how come you're on Twitter? Which is great. Don't mind that. And it gives me a chance to then explain and whatever. So it's just a hook. It's just a hook. And when I look through, I couldn't find anybody who had got that in their title. I'm not stealing it from anybody. So I just thought I'll run with it. And people have messaged me to go, oh, you're the antisocial fella. So that tells me they're remembering me. That's good enough for me.
Yeah. I like your podcasts, or what are they called, or video casts. whatever they're called.
Well,
What's the
again,
word for that?
well, I don't know, but again, I do everything sort of live by the seat of my pants. I try things, they work, they don't work, they're interesting, they're not interesting. And I'm trying to work out, for example, on LinkedIn, how do you get more people to view stuff? Okay, because whether we like it or not, whether we accept it or not, they all have algorithms. Nobody knows how they work. They'll say they do, but nobody really does. What can you do to get your message in front of more people? Because we all want to achieve that. However, we operate, we all think our message is the most important. Everybody wants to listen to us. Everybody has to listen to us. So how do you get it in front of more people? So I've been experimenting, trying different things. And what I've discovered is I was doing some videos on LinkedIn. LinkedIn really likes native video, without a shadow of a doubt. Native video gets more attention. But even my videos, which I thought were really cool, I'd be lucky to get 12 views, 20 views, nothing. Not that I'm a view person, but I just wanted to see how can you achieve better, okay? And yesterday, I tried a different approach. I thought, you know what, that's not working. And I think the sign of a good marketer or good seller is you go, bin that, try something else. So yesterday I tried, rather than that, I thought I'll put a video up and I'll ask a question. And all I put in the question, right, was in terms of, would you engage with someone on social media if they had no photo on their bio? That's it.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Okay. 3,000 views later, there or thereabouts, it's still cooking.
3,000?
3,000. About 150 comments on it. The greatest post I've ever done. Right? So that's taught me a really important lesson. And the important lesson I learned from that experiment was my videos, I think, were too opinionate. They just told people what I thought. It got a few views, but it didn't spread through the masses. This gets people commenting. The fact they've commented means it spreads through the masses. But the net effect of that is profile views up dramatically, and people who are now downloading my podcast or asking me about it, physically messaging me to be on their show. I've had 3 requests and I've had 2 people say, where can I get the podcast from? So that tells me that sort of plan is a better plan than the here's my opinion on something video that I did do that got 20 people viewing it.
So you were actually truly social in your last video than before?
Yes, I changed my approach. Yes. So rather than...
So you're actually doing what you talked about?
Yes. But I thought I was being social in the first load of videos by just helping people with a tip or some advice or something, but it wasn't social. Now I'm saying the post just reads, what's your thoughts on this? What's your opinion on that? Right? Then it's what the topic is, right? And then the video, and the video's under a minute. But listen, that's one. Sure. I don't know if that's if that's unlucky. If the second one does as well, we'll have to wait and see. I don't know. But the point about it is that suddenly I changed my approach to being really social rather than so I've still put in the video what I think, but I also put in the video, tell me what you think. Put in the comments underneath, inviting them, asking them to share. And by and large, 150 people on the other one have come up with something. And then I reply to it. Now I reply to everyone. I don't just ignore them. So yeah, you're walking down the street and I'm replying and commenting back on all the people that have made a comment or whatever. So I'm trying a different way. So I'm trying to be as social as physically, humanly I can manage. And we'll see where that goes. But with a business mindset at the back. So my question at the beginning is, what's my end game? My end game is more people to listen to my podcast. That's all I've got. I don't do anything else. So if that gets me more listeners because I can see the numbers going up, the strategy is working for me. If that doesn't happen, then I don't see the value in doing those videos just to get views, but no one more listens to my. That's the point. That's the objective. So I'll measure that for a week, see how that goes. Objective done, carry on. Doesn't improve the view, the number of downloads, move on to something else. I don't need the views. I'm not doing it for vanity. I don't care. I'm doing it to get more downloads on my podcast. That's the plan.
Brilliant. Always say that Mavericks have clear strategies. So I'll be looking forward to see how this one works out. I think it's a good place to stop now.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Mark, for coming on. Would you come on again?
Of course, I'll come on, every 6 months or whenever you decide you'd like to have me on. I can give you an update and share more stuff that's going on. Be a pleasure.
Brilliant. Thanks very much, Mark.
Thank you, Judith, for having me.
Thank you. Thank you once again for tuning in to the Maverick Paradox podcast. I hope you have enjoyed listening to my conversation with Mark as much as I enjoyed having it. If you'd like to learn more about Mavericks and leadership, then please subscribe to my podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or one of the other popular podcast platforms. Alternatively, apply to join the Maverick Paradox exclusive Facebook group. My website is maverickparadox.com. Find out how willful independence can ultimately change all our futures. Thanks again, and see you soon.